Yeah. Let us now look into the next variation of assignment problem, what is called as unbalanced assignment problem, right? So nothing great in this. Whenever the cost matrix of an assignment problem is not a square matrix, that is, the number of source is not equal to number of destinations, the assignment problem is called as unbalanced assignment problem, right? So as I told earlier, in order to implement Hungarian algorithm, we have to ensure that the assignment problem is of balanced type. But sometimes you may get unbalanced assignment problems also, right? Now our simple and best example of teachers handling the subjects to your section, it's a pure example of unbalanced assignment problem. Am I right? You have 6 subjects and you have 30 teachers. So let us say 6 rows and 30 columns, right? So 6 cross 30 is purely an unbalanced assignment problem, right? So whenever you encounter unbalanced assignment problem, what you have to do is you have to add something called as dummy rows or columns to make it balanced, right? What we call it also as fictitious rows or columns, right? Now, say for example, you have to just add either dummy rows or columns. Now be very careful. I have said here you have to add dummy rows or columns to make it balanced, right? Please do not use your own methodology, because I know you are all Nobel Prize winners. You don't delete the existing rows and columns to make it balanced, correct? Ella doddoru idare class nalli, so please don't delete the rows and columns. So for example, let us say the question is solve the following assignment problem. Now watch out very carefully how the question is. The question says solve the following assignment problem. It never tells solve the following unbalanced problem. Please understand. So be very careful, because if you do not make it balanced, you will end up continuing to solve the problem. At one given point of time you get stuck, and again if you make an attempt to come back, you would have lost quite good amount of time, right? So this is pure example of unbalanced minimization problem. I repeat, unbalanced minimization problem. Now in this case, how many rows are there? 3. And how many columns are there? 4, right? So you have to make it balanced by adding one dummy row. By adding one dummy row, right? So you add up one dummy row, right? And you have the elements of that particular row as 0, 0, 0, 0. Please understand. Once you have a dummy row, you will have the elements of that particular row as 0, 0. I'll just show you this. Correct? So I have 3 rows, I'll add a 4th row called as a D, and I will have the elements of that particular row as 0, 0, 0, 0, right? So I have now 4 rows and 4 columns. Okay? Now, unbalanced assignment problem does not mean that every time the difference should be with respect to only one row or one column. Please understand. Sometimes it is also possible that you may have 3 rows and 5 columns, which is also unbalanced, right? So the difference should be added either number of rows or number of columns. So suppose if you have 3 rows and 5 columns, then in order to make it balanced, you have to add 2 more rows. You have to add 2 more rows. If number of rows are more than number of columns, then you add equivalent number of columns. So in this case, I'll end up adding 1 row with all 4 zeros, correct? Now implement the Hungarian algorithm on this particular problem to solve, and then finally what happens, the difference between the balanced and unbalanced problem is, now you have ABC in the original problem and you have W, X, Y, Z. Now that's a typo mistake. You make this as Z actually, make this as Z. So you have ABC, W, X, Y, Z. Now at the end of the day, when you solve the problem, you will have assignment made for A, B and C. Now since there are 3 sources, 3 destinations out of these 4 will be taken and one of them will be idle. So this is what happens in case of unbalanced assignment problem. The extra person will be sort of a idle for our discussion, right? It is something like your subject allotment application, right? 6 teachers are handling 6 subjects. So as far as your section subjects are concerned, the remaining 24 teachers are not taking any subject for you. So that is the meaning of unbalanced assignment problem. Okay. Now when you solve this particular problem, you get the answer as WXY. So the last column Z is vacant, it is not doing any job. So optimum cost is 50. Correct? So once you understand this, my suggestion would be take up this particular problem and solve on your own. It's better I do the changes, otherwise you will end up getting confused. So in this case, the number of rows is more than number of columns. So you add 2 columns and then proceed as usual. And once you successfully complete, this is what is the optimum assignment, and the optimal cost is 12. Now let us proceed with the last variation of assignment problem, what is called as restrictions on assignment problem. It's very simple. As the name restriction says, sometimes it may happen that a particular source cannot be assigned to a particular destination. Correct? Now something like this, right? Let us equate this with our example. You have 6 subjects and a couple of teachers. And let us say I have also been asked if I am interested to take any subject for your section. And then what I say, yeah, I am interested in taking a subject for your section, but then I will not take, say for example, I will not take physics and chemistry for you. Right? Yeah, I am interested in taking the subject, but I am not interested in taking physics and chemistry. So what happens is the problem is solved, and at the end of the day, the solution what you get, it implicitly tells that I have not been allocated or allotted subject called as physics and chemistry. So that's the restriction, that I am not going to take this particular subject, right? Now this particular restriction is denoted as hyphen in your problem statement. Now have a look at it. Solve the following assignment problem. Now again, one more thing you have to note here is, we do not again tell you something like, hey, solve the following restriction assignment problem. No, we will not tell you. You have to find out with respect to the problem that is given to you. Now, if you closely observe this particular problem, you will agree with me that this is a typical example of balanced restriction assignment problem of minimization type. Am I right? It is balanced because you have 5 rows and 5 columns. It is restriction because J1, job 1 cannot be done on machine 3 and job 3 cannot be done on machine 5. So that's the restriction, and since nothing is given in terms of objective function, the problem is of minimization type. So the best example of balanced restriction minimization type of assignment problem, right? Now you may wonder how to go ahead in solving this particular problem. There's nothing to worry about it. You implement the Hungarian algorithm as usual, what you have done for minimization type, but only one thing you keep in mind is, at every step ignore this particular cell and this particular cell, meaning these 2 cells throughout your problem, let it have only hyphen, right? So this will have no impact on the entire functioning of your algorithm, right? Something what we call in Kannada, Atukuntu lekkukilla, ashte. So don't worry about it, right? So you please proceed. Say for example, the first row minimum element is 2. So this becomes 8 minus 2, 2 minus 2, don't touch this fellow, 5 minus 2, 4 minus 2, right? So that should be your approach to solve these type of restrictions on assignment problem, right? Now, when you make an attempt to solve this particular problem, right, without any mistakes and thoroughly understanding it, you will end up getting this as an optimal assignment, and you will end up getting the optimal cost as 40. Correct? So this is what is called as variations of assignment model. So I repeat, go through the entire video very carefully and then try to solve the problem on your own. I will also try to give you some more questions on assignment problem which you can solve. The more and more problems you solve, the better hold hands-on you will have on your subject of operation research. Correct? And I repeat once again, if you have any doubts, please post the question in the group. Right? Happy learning about operation research. Please do take care of yourself. Stay locked for next couple of days before we come back and resume our session in the four walls of the classroom. Take care. Thank you.